Good afternoon, and welcome to the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood's webinar, Above All Else, From Thinking Impossible to Believing I Am Possible, a Head Start approach to moving forward. Passing it over to Diana, who will give us instructions on how to access Spanish interpretation.
Hello everyone, buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Diana Reyes y daré instrucciones sobre cómo acceder a los servicios de traducción para el seminario web. En la parte inferior de la pantalla, haga clic en el icono, el globo terráqueo que dice Traducción. Seleccione el idioma que le gustaría escuchar. Para español, haz clic en Español o SP. Vuelva a hacer clic en el icono, el globo terráqueo y seleccione Silenciar audio original. Voy a poner las instrucciones en el chat. Gracias por acompañarnos.
Thank you so much, Diana. And now passing it over to the Commissioner of the Office of Early Childhood, Elena Trueworthy.
Thank you so much, Lorna, and the Office of Early Childhood team. And thank you to all of you for being with us today. So grateful that you're taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us in community, speaking about really important issues related to behavioral health, what that means for children, families, and communities. At the Office of Early Childhood, we created the Behavioral Health Initiative because we had several initiatives happening across the agency. And we really want to see one approach around behavioral health that addresses common outcomes and strategies and is most impactful for all of you. Those of you in the field supporting children and families every day, parents to be able to receive the supports and build upon your strengths as parents, and for the children to be able to achieve their ultimate and optimal outcomes. I am so excited just about the title, to be honest, with this webinar. Above all else, from thinking impossible to believing I am possible. A Head Start approach to moving forward. My early childhood career pretty much began in a Head Start program. I was young, had a lot to learn, and I can tell you the Head Start way really molded who I am today, my perspective, and my approaches. It is a model that is comprehensive, right? That addresses and has us really look at and address the multiple factors that impact children's early learning and development and success, right? It is about their families, right? In the communities that they live and participate in. And so in Head Start, I was out in community, door knocking, reaching out to families to engage them in community engagement work, parent leadership training, and ensuring they understood and we dialogued about the importance of the early years and what that means for brain development. I have to say, Head Start taught me so much. And I am so grateful and still have those relationships today with the parents and the community members, partners, and others in this work. So I'm really looking forward to what this webinar is going to share today, and then how we can use this webinar to be able to inform how we function and work at the Office of Early Childhood as well. I'd like to now introduce Deputy Commissioner David Morgan. He is pretty new to the Office of Early Childhood. He has such a vast array of experiences and knowledge, and we are so fortunate to have him here at the agency. David.
Thank you, Commissioner. You know, it's inspiring to hear Commissioner Trueworthy's story. I've had the privilege to work with Commissioner Trueworthy in her various aspects of her career, and it's day number 15 here for myself as the newest Deputy Commissioner of the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood. And I just want to echo and underscore everything Commissioner Trueworthy has said. And I am singing to the choir here, but understanding the science and the evidence is very clear. Behavioral mental health begins in early childhood, understanding the neurological, physiological development of the human brain from prenatal to age 3. We have the incredible, profound impact on setting lifelong success, and all other human aspects of child and family development is rooted in behavioral health. All roads lead to this. So really excited that you're all here today and looking forward to partnering and continuing this journey together with and for our families throughout Connecticut.
Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner. Next, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Thea Montañez. She is our keynote speaker for today, and she is Senior Advisor to the Governor, to Governor Lamont, on all issues related to children, youth, and families. I think what is so exciting to have Thea with us today is that she has lived a lot of these experiences and can really talk about the stories behind these words. And the Governor Lamont, knew what he was doing when he brought you on, Thea, with your amazing perspective and heart and passion and commitment to this work. Prior to your role at the Office of the Governor, Thea served as Chief of Staff and later Chief Operating Officer for the City of Hartford, managing over a $600 million annual budget and having lots and lots of responsibilities as it relates to that. You've had a wonderful journey throughout your career and throughout your life, and so thankful that you're here today to share a lot of that, and welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, everybody. Really grateful to be part of today's gathering and grateful to Team OEC for adopting me and inviting me to be a part of today's conversation. I'm really, again, excited to be a part of OEC's first convening of the new year. On behalf of Governor Lamont and the entire administration, I just want to begin by expressing our gratitude for the work that all of you are doing every single day. You are on the front lines of one of the most important challenges of our time, and that's protecting and promoting the well-being of our children and their families in the state of Connecticut. As somebody who's worked in government for almost a decade now, I can't believe that. I have spent way too much of my time in meetings to discuss meetings. And it's especially meaningful to me to spend time with all of you, this community of parents, providers, advocates, and children's professionals. Throughout my career, some of my most sacred conversations have been with helpers, just like all of you, who are on the front lines every single day and who are serving as a true lifeline for those among us who need support the most. I'd also like to start off by saying something simple that cannot be said enough, and that is what you do absolutely matters. It matters deeply, not just to the children and families that you are supporting, but to the health and heart of all of our communities. And I say that as the former Chief Operating Officer for the City of Hartford. Hartford is and has been challenged by poverty and violence. And therefore, I personally witnessed the devastating impact that has on the mental health and well-being of our children and families. And given what I've shared about my experience in Hartford, I was going to speak to the impact of the work that many of you are doing on children and families that I've worked with over the years. But as I was preparing for our time together today, and again, the focus of this conversation on the importance of behavioral health, I realize I've personally benefited from the power of the work that many of you are doing. I can honestly say that my experience with behavioral health services and supports has personally been life-changing for me. It has changed the life of my loved ones, and at times it has actually saved their lives. So please know again that your work matters. During the last almost 2 years, I've been in the office of the governor. I've learned many valuable lessons. And one of my top 3 lessons that I learned coincidentally came from the former OEC commissioner, Beth Bai. And she once told me in a conversation that you know how well a child is doing by how well their parent is doing. And that may seem very obvious or simple, to many of you who do this work every day. But for me, I just found that really profound. And I always keep that in the front of my mind. We know that the research tells us, and from plain human truth, that children's wellness is inseparable from the wellness of the adults who care for them. And the former US Surgeon General, Dr. Murthy, warned that parental burnout and isolation are creating a silent crisis in family well-being. When parents struggle, children's resilience is tested. And when parents are supported, children thrive. Over the last several years, we've seen an undeniable truth, and that is that children and adolescents today look profoundly different than they did a decade ago. The pressures are greater, the pace is faster, and the impacts of trauma, social isolation, and uncertainty run deep. In the wake of the pandemic, rates of anxiety, depression, and behavioral health crisis among young people have surged across our country, and Connecticut is no exception. We've heard the stories. Emergency rooms are filled with children waiting for psychiatric beds. Schools are struggling to recruit and retain counselors, and parents are losing sleep as they watch their children withdraw or lose hope. And again, that's why your work supporting children by strengthening families is so vital. But it's also why your well-being is important too. As professionals, we often tell parents to take care of themselves so that they can take care of their kids. Yet how often do we give ourselves that same grace? If we're exhausted, disconnected, or burdened, we can't fully be present or give hope to others. So today, I want to offer you all a very gentle reminder to take care of yourself, because taking care of yourself isn't an act of selfishness. It's actually an act of service. And that's exactly what Alex L. meant when she said self-care is an act of community care. And for those of you that don't know, Alex L. is a brilliant author and wellness educator who shares her experience with addressing her own childhood trauma through therapy and journaling, writing, and prioritizing self-care. Sometimes we work with families and we don't know how the story will end. Sometimes the change feels invisible or slow, but progress in this field rarely looks like a straight line. It looks like showing up again and again, even when you can't see the outcome yet. And trying itself is powerful. Trying is what keeps communities alive. So I'm going to share with you a significant moment in my own life, specifically actually within my career, when I tried to give up, as funny as that sounds. It was during my last year at Hartford City Hall as the Chief Operating Officer. During my time there, I was really, really grateful to then Mayor Luke Bronin for just empowering me to think differently about the way that government was showing up in the lives of community. And so rethinking government services and how they were offered, thinking about how do we integrate compassion into the work that we do so that we're not measuring success just on efficiency and effectiveness, but also about our ability to be compassionate. And one of the things I'm most proud of is during that time, I helped create the Office of Community Safety and Wellness. That was a new office within the city of Hartford. It was within the office of the Chief Operating Officer, and it was created post-COVID. We were able to use COVID federal relief funds to stand up this office. And the office was charged with, again, rethinking the work that we were doing, specifically with members of our community who may be living with addiction, potentially mental health issues, housing instability, and survivors of community violence. And so as part of that work, one of the things I'm most proud of is we actually created a different kind of response to 911 calls that we were receiving for persons in community who may be struggling with suicidal ideation or homelessness, for example. And so for those kind of calls that came in, instead of deploying or sending police, we actually, if they were nonviolent 911 calls, we would send out a team of social workers. There was at least one social worker who was paired with a member of community with lived experience. And that team of two would respond to that call. And they experienced tremendous success. There were thousands of calls that they answered. And I think the data at the time I was at City Hall indicated that 80 to 90% of the time, when that team of two went out to respond, there was no need to call police because it did not escalate into violence. That initiative, again, it was a supplemental response to police, was referred and is referred to as the HEART team. And I am grateful to our police department who welcomed it with open arms, who recognized their own limitations and who knew that they did not have either the necessary training or resources to be able to respond to the needs of persons that may be experiencing a mental health crisis. One of the other initiatives that I was really proud to be a part of was a creation of a response anytime a young person in the city of Hartford was a victim of community violence. And regrettably, that happened more than it should have. And we created a system with multiple city agencies where we committed to doing certain things anytime we learned that a young person, again, was a victim of violence. That whole initiative was inspired at the time from an experience I had with a little boy. I think he was 10 years old at the time. This was probably back in 2017 and 2018, so it was pre-COVID. And that young man happened to be outside at, I think, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with his friends, and he was the victim of a shooting. Luckily, his injuries were non-life-threatening. And that little boy ended up going to Connecticut Children's Hospital where he was treated. He was sent back home that morning. And I remember at the time, Mayor Bronin had called me on his way to meet this child and his mother to offer his assistance and to learn how we could help that family. And on his way there, I remember he could not get into the apartment building. He didn't have the access to enter the building to visit with the family. But as he's on the phone with me, I can hear him talking to someone. And it turns out it was that little boy. The little boy, as the mayor arrived, was walking down the street with his shoulder, his arm in a cast. Mayor Bronin assumed he was the same little boy that had been a victim of gun violence. And so Mayor Bronin met with that little boy and his mother, and she told him things that I'm sure are not surprising to many of you, that the family was experiencing housing instability, that they really would benefit, from having more options for housing in a safe neighborhood, and that mom really wanted to work, but didn't have the certifications that she needed. So Mayor Bronin left, and I at that point decided I was going to stay with this little boy because I wanted to understand what happens in a community when a child is a victim and survives violence. And I stayed with him actually for several years. What I learned was, aside from the police department responding to the incident and doing an investigation and then referring the incident to our Department of Children and Families just to ensure that the act of violence wasn't due to abuse or neglect, there was nothing else that happened. And so that little boy inspired, again, this whole body of work and this response so that anytime in the city of Hartford a young person was victimized by violence, a team of city agencies that also included the school district, local youth providers would get together to try to understand, okay, what happened? What are the needs and who's doing what and how, so that it was a coordinated approach to ensuring that that child would not be re-victimized in the future. And so, in doing that work, I met this family of 9. It was a single mother at the time. She had just had a baby, and she had 7 other children, with the oldest being 17. They all lived together in a 3-bedroom apartment in Hartford. 3 of the children were just as involved, as young as 10 years old. And she had 3 children that had some sort of cognitive disability. And she was taking care of all of these children by herself as best as she could. And one of those children, one of her sons, had been involved in, again, an incident of community violence. He survived. And so that young man was brought to my attention right away. We all got together. We came up with a game plan. And it turned out it was much more complicated than anybody had anticipated. After I learned more about the family and what their needs were, I quickly realized that we were all in over our head. It was extremely humbling. I did not appreciate the complexity of the family's needs. And I'm sure this is, not new to many of you. This is probably what you're experiencing on a regular basis. But I found myself really struggling with what we could do to help the family, who at the time was also facing eviction. They had been evicted 2 times before, and this was the third, time that they were going to potentially be evicted. So I decided that I was going to organize a case conferencing meeting. So I was going to have multiple city agencies, school district, nonprofit partners, and state agencies. And together, I thought if we just all met at the same time, we could come up with a game plan for how to help this family. And the meeting was about an hour long. It didn't feel like a whole lot got accomplished at the end of the meeting, not because people were not trying, but again, it was that complicated that it wasn't obvious to us what was the best way to coordinate our efforts. And at the end of that meeting, I was so frustrated. I actually ended up opening up an Excel spreadsheet and I wrote down the names of every single person that was on that call with me. And there was a total of 22 people, including myself. And it turns out that that family, despite the efforts of 22 people, still ended up evicted and living in a hotel for several months. And that was around the time that Mayor Bronin decided not to run for office, that I then decided that I would retire my career as a government employee. And I think that experience with that family really made me question what my role was. I began to feel that I had become part of the problem, that I had become part of this system that wasn't really supporting their needs of our children and families. And so I decided that I was done, that I needed to find another career path because clearly the one that I was on wasn't really serving, community. And so I found myself trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And in doing so, I ended up talking to people from around the country that were working with young people and their families. And I remember asking all of them, how is it that you do this work? How is it that you show up every day, even though it is, not always going to end in the result you're hoping for? And there was one response I received from an executive director of a nonprofit organization that's really incredible. They are ROCA. They are based in Massachusetts. They have a program in the city of Hartford that is focused on young mothers. And Molly Baldwin, they're actually their CEO. I said to her, Molly, I don't understand. Like, how do you just keep showing up? How do you keep doing this work? And she said, Thea, I don't do this work because I'm always going to be successful. I do this work because I have to know that at least I tried. And that for me was really life-changing. It is exactly what I needed to hear. And so at that point, I decided that I was not just ready to retire from public service. And eventually I came and joined the office of the governor. And a lot of our work, at the heart of this work, is partnership. And so you heard me talk about coordinating the work that was happening at the city and state level and within our nonprofit community. I really think that is critical to anything and everything that we do. And it's certainly, again, it's not for a lack of trying. I have seen so many people try to work together, but we always don't have the resources or the infrastructure in place to do that well. And that's something that we have to continue to work on. And again, it is key that the government, clinicians, educators, family, and community, and most importantly, residents are working together to try to figure out, what is going to make the most sense for folks and how are we going to meet people where they are. At this point, I want to acknowledge the incredible work that's happening right here in Connecticut. We certainly have a lot to be proud of. We've made historic investments in children's behavioral health. Many of you are a part of that work, and family well-being, expanding expanding access to school-based health centers, crisis support mobile response teams, and community programs that treat children and families holistically. These aren't just policy changes, they're promises to our kids, to our caregivers, and professionals like all of you and advocates who carry this mission forward. The governor has instructed every relevant agency from DCF, the Department of Children and Families, to the Department of Social Services, Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, and of course OEC, to continue breaking down long-standing silos. Children and families should not have to ever navigate 5 phone numbers to reach for help. And so that's why we are investing in a unified intake approach, electronic referral networks, and integrated care models that make support as seamless as possible. In closing, I just want to say a couple of things. And as we look ahead, my challenge and also my invitation to each of you is to remember a couple of things. One, the work you do for others begins with you. Pay attention to your own well-being. Celebrate the small wins you help make possible. And hold on to the truth that trying, even when uncertain, is the most meaningful thing that you can do. As your partners in government, we can never forget behind every policy and data point is a child who just wants to feel seen, heard, and supported. If we create a system, or better yet, a community that meets a child and every child like them, and we do it with compassion and timely care, then we are doing more than fixing a system. We are investing in the soul of our state. To all of you here today, whether you're a clinician, an administrator, a school-based provider, an advocate, a parent, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are the bridge between policy and possibility. Your commitment transforms statistics into stories of healing. Your work gives hope to parents and futures for children. And from the governor's office, know that you have partners, not just in words, but in action. And OEC is such a great example and testament to that. We are determined to carry this mission forward with you. Together, we're building a Connecticut where every child's potential is supported by their behavioral health and it's not limited by it, and where our collective compassion is matched by lasting communities of care. Thank you for your leadership, for your care, and for your unrelenting belief in the power of prevention and partnership and hope. Thank you for showing up, for staying committed, and for thinking from thinking it's impossible to believing it is possible. Thank you all.
Thea, the thanks, the huge thanks, the tremendous thanks goes to you. I'm still just trying to absorb all of your words, your powerful words, your inspiring words, from the importance of hope, the importance of having a heart. And boy, when you said trying even when uncertain is the most meaningful thing you can do. Thank you so much for representing that, not only through your words, Thea, but through your actions as well. We are so blessed to have you on our team. Thank you so very much.
Thank
And
you,
you can
Lorna. Thank you for everything you do. And again, thank you for the entire OEC team and all of you that are part of today's gathering.
Thank you. Thank you. Boy. All right. Well, as we continue on, and you can see the emoji reactions, wonderful. As we continue on, it now is my wonderful honor to pass the microphone over to a wonderful teammate, Karen Pascal, who is the Head Start Collaboration Office Director. She is so inspiring and influential in all of the things that we do, supporting behavioral health within the Office of Early Childhood, and passing it over to Karen to share more about Head Start. Karen, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lorna. Hi, everyone. Really happy to be with you here today. And I think Thea really set the stage for what we will continue to discuss in this webinar. Like Lorna shared, my name is Karen Pascal, and I'm Connecticut's Head Start Collaboration Office Director here at the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood. My role is really to connect our federal Head Start programs to state systems and services so they can best meet the needs of the children and families they serve. And so today I will provide a brief overview of Head Start in Connecticut. So Head Start celebrated its 60th birthday in 2025. It was created by President Johnson as part of the War on Poverty in 1965. And Project Head Start launched in 65 as a comprehensive child development program for preschool-aged children and their families. I like to think of Head Start as the original two-generational model. And some of you on this call may know that Project Head Start had a demonstration site in New Haven, Connecticut. Early Head Start began a bit later in 1995, and it was to serve infants, toddlers, and pregnant women. So over those last 6 decades, 37 million children and families have been served by Head Start nationwide. So Head Start programs deliver services to children aged birth to 5 and their families. Early Head Start is delivering also prenatal services. Those services are provided in a variety of settings. They include public schools, child care centers, family child care homes, or in the family's own home through a home visiting model, which in Head Start we call home-based. These are the services that Head Start programs provide. For early care and education, they're providing a variety of learning experiences to help children grow. In fact, when Head Start children enroll, they are screened within 45 days for developmental concerns and also sensory concerns. We're ensuring health services are provided, making sure that children are up to date on their immunizations, they have a dental home, they have a medical home, that they have access to behavioral health and mental health services, as well as nutritional services. All of these things help to identify any early health problems. An integral part of Head Start is also family engagement. We engage parents and caregivers in the planning and implementation of activities as soon as they enroll in our program. There are so many opportunities to serve on policy councils and committees that help make administrative decisions for the programs. Families are also invited to participate in classes and workshops on child development and volunteer opportunities. Many times you'll find families, parents, and caregivers volunteering in classrooms. And also social services. So at Head Start programs, we have program social service staff that provide outreach to families. When they come into our programs, we're assessing the family's needs, helping them to identify their strengths and their desires. And most importantly, we're helping connect them to systems and services that will long serve them after they leave our programs. Now, Head Start programs cannot provide all of these services on their own. We do so in partnerships with families and partnerships with local and state agencies. A little bit about eligibility. So a family is eligible for Head Start if the family income is at or below the federal poverty guidelines. To put that into perspective, a family of 2, so a single parent with 1 child, is making at or below $21,640, which we know in Connecticut is not a lot of money. You also can be categorically eligible for Head Start regardless of your income. So that is if the child is a foster child with child welfare, so the Department of Children and Families in Connecticut. If the child or family is experiencing homelessness, and so we use the definition, the McKinney-Vento definition of homelessness, meaning the child or family has no regular place to put their head at night. They may be couch surfing, staying with a friend, in shelter, on the street. Also, if a family or child receives public assistance, so that includes temporary assistance for needy families, TANF, supplemental security income, SSI, or most recently in 2022, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. We were really excited when this became part of the categorical eligibility. It allowed for more families who would have been considered over income for Head Start to enroll and be eligible for Head Start programs. So a little bit about Head Start in Connecticut. Again, they are federally funded programs. What that means is the funding flows directly from the federal government to the local level. We have 22 Head Start programs statewide. So Head Start is not in every city or town in Connecticut, but it is in every county. In total, there are a little over 4,400 funded slots. Most of those slots in Connecticut are Head Start preschool slots, serving children ages 3 to 5. And a little over 1,000 of those slots are early Head Start slots. Again, that's serving infant, toddlers, and pregnant individuals. Here is a link to the Head Start locator on headstart.gov. This is a map of, you can see where the Head Start and early Head Start programs are in Connecticut. If you are interested in looking for a Head Start program in your community, you can click on the link and type in your address and it will bring up the program. I'm also happy to connect folks with Head Start programs in their communities. So I will put my contact information in our chat. That was a very brief overview of the amazing Head Start programs and services that are provided across Connecticut. And now I am honored to introduce you to my colleague, Juan Lopez. Juan is an Education Services Assistant supporting the OEC's Early Care and Education Division. Before coming to the OEC, Juan worked in a variety of Head Start positions across Connecticut programs. We are so lucky to have him at the OEC. Juan?
Hi, everyone. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to introduce a video vignette featuring Eloisa's story. The testimonial that you're going to watch offers a personal perspective on the impact of Head Start and reflect the values that guide my work and the work of many others. This is especially meaningful to me as I was also part of the Head Start earlier in my career. Through that experience, I was able to grow professionally and witness firsthand the powerful impact that the program has on children and families in the communities I serve. Through Eloisa's story, we are reminded of and confirm why Head Start matters. Enjoy the video.
My name is Eloisa Melendez. I work at the Office of Early Childhood as the lead planner on the Blue Ribbon panel on childcare work. And something that I think about when I think about my childhood, I think about the different programs that my mother put me in that completely transformed my life and has greatly impacted it in a positive way now as an adult. So as a child, I remember going to Head Start and just being really, really happy. It's crazy to think that I still remember it now, but that's, I guess, how much of an impact it had on my life. I remember the food was good, which is very random, but I remember that. I remember seeing a lot of friends, and I remember feeling very, very loved by my teachers and the staff there. But I just remember being really happy, and I think more importantly too, I started Head Start speaking mostly Spanish. I knew some English, but my main and first language was Spanish, so I learned how to actually speak English in Head Start. And then my mom told me after that, when I was little, I don't remember this as much, but when I was little and I learned how to speak Spanish, I learned how to speak English at Head Start, that then when other students would come in and they spoke Spanish and they were on their journey to learn English, that I would help them. So I was kind of helping myself with learning more English, but also helping them with something that I just learned. And I also remember my mom telling me that the first time that I ever talked about being a leader was after Head Start. And she said, like, she remembers it vividly, like the very first time that I was like, when I'm older, I want to lead. I want to be a leader. I want to be in charge, was at Head Start. So it's clear that whatever I was learning there was really setting that foundation of what would later be a reality in my life. So I'm incredibly thankful for that. And again, when you're a kid, you're just focused on like the day to day and how you feel. And clearly I was very happy and I was having a lot of fun. Now as an adult, especially in my role working at the Office of Early Childhood and working with other, families and providers, it puts things more into perspective for me, because not only, for me, I was having fun, but for my mom, I had a safe place to go, and not only, safe in terms of like, physical safety, but emotionally safe. I, thinking about it and thinking about my own future and hopefully having children, and my friends that are having children now, like the thought of having a very, very safe place for your child to go and for you to be able to go to work, like that's what that meant for my mom. Like my mom wasn't just leaving me anywhere. My mom was leaving me somewhere where I was cared for, but also where the different, sort of that foundation was being laid in so many different ways that, again, as a child, I didn't really understand, but now as an adult and in my line of work, I really do. As I think about, hearing the stories about the first time of me talking about being a leader, it obviously really, really resonates with me with the path that I've taken. And, I think it makes sense to share the story of becoming officially a leader at a really young age. Back in 2013, when I was 19, I decided to run for office locally in my hometown of Norwalk, Connecticut. And it was very scary, but also very exciting at the same time, because I, at that age, didn't know a lot about what I really wanted to do, but I did know something, which was that I really cared about my hometown and about being a part of the change that was already going on. So I did it. I kind of jumped very, very much into the deep end and was able to float, because I won my first election and went on to serve 3 terms in total for 6 years, from 2013 to 2019. And it was an incredible opportunity and honor to be able to serve my hometown and my neighbors in particular, but to be reminded of where that journey started, which was when I was, 3 or 4 years old, holding my mom's hand, leaving Head Start after a long work day of hers and a long fun day for me, that, it started there, that something at Head Start, someone or some experience there made it possible for me to then tell my mom, like, I want to lead, I want to be in charge. So it's really full circle for me. And again, to be working at the OEC and to be working so directly with this work and having been a part of Head Start's almost, I guess this year, 62-year journey is really exciting for me. Another thing that now as an adult I can really understand more and appreciate more about my Head Start experience is the fact that I, for the 2 full school years and summers, had a safe place to go, but that my mom was able to bring me right before she went to work and pick me up right after work. And that full day, full-time experience was so incredibly important to me, but also made it possible for her to support us financially and to be able to have like a worry-free, situation in order to be able to work, right? And, again, really don't think about that when you're a kid. You're just thinking about your day to day. But now as an adult, I just think about how important that was. And it was like quite literally a lifeline for my mom to be able to do that. So just that peace of mind, but also that just a type of support that you kind of can't put a price on. It just really, really thankful now that I can actually understand just how important that was to her and ultimately to me and to us. If I could get all of my Head Start teachers together and put them all in a room, now as an adult, who, like, again, I mean, I could have said this too as a child, but now especially as an adult who really understands the time and effort and then the work that they put in for us, I would just say a huge, huge, huge thank you. But not just thank you for doing your job, but just thank you for going above and beyond for us. I mean, I know that it wasn't just like, okay, these are the things that you need to learn today, but it's also those fundamental things like, you know, covering yourself when you sneeze, saying please and thank you to people who help you, you know, just basic life things that don't just exist in a small amount of time in your life, but that really you know, make you who you are. And so I just would say thank you so much. I mean, I wish that there was a bigger word than thank you, or a bigger phrase than thank you for everything. And it's just clear, especially when I look back in pictures, how much fun I was having, but also how loved I was and how much of that experience was more than someone just doing their job. They definitely went above and beyond.
Oh, Eloisa. Oh my, and clearly those viewing are responding as well. What a powerful story. Eloisa, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and for reminding us of the power of those who influence us at a very early age. And certainly your experience at Head Start is a testament to that. Thank you so much, Eloisa. And let us continue the conversation of the importance of how we invest in our young people early on as we continue with our panel discussion. And with that, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Haley Scott DeClercq, who is a primary prevention services coordinator at the Office of Early Childhood. But she's much more than a title. She is a human being who walks the talk and encourages others to do the same. But I will allow her to share more about herself. Passing the microphone over to Haley.
Thank you, Lorna. Good afternoon. Today's panel is taking a moment to reflect on where families and children are right now. Many are navigating stress, uncertainty, and change. And we know those experiences don't stop with adults. Children feel them too. This conversation is grounded in those values that have always been grounded in the values of Head Start. Strong relationships, equitable practices, meaningful connection, and a belief in what is possible. As you listen to our panel discussion today, I invite you to hold one guiding question. What would change in our work if we truly believed that impossible is not a label, but rather a starting point? I am honored to be joined by an incredible group of leaders, practitioners, and parents who live this work every day. If our guest panelists would please show their faces, that would be great. And our guest panelists include Mallory Page, who reminds us that this work feels like from the parent perspective. Dr. Yola Borteau, who brings a system-level view of early childhood and family services. Ruth Chantre, who brings the leadership lens of Head Start programs. To begin, we'd love for our audience to get to know a little bit more about our guest panelists. Each of you comes to this work with a unique role and perspective, and that diversity of experience is what makes this conversation so meaningful and rich. Our first question for our panel is, please tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your connection to the OEC? What agency you work for? and what is your role there? And we'll start with Mallory, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mallory Page, and I am a parent cabinet member with the Office of Early Childhood. The parent cabinet is a 15-member statutory advisory committee with the Office of Early Childhood that was formed by community leaders and parents to elevate the parent voice throughout Connecticut.
Thank you, Mallory. And now we'll turn it over to Dr. Yola.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yola Borto with the Advanced Behavioral Health, and I am a Senior Director of Early Childhood and Family Services and oversee the ECCP program. Many of you may know the ECCP program. We are a statewide infant early childhood mental health consultation program and one of the behavioral health initiatives that OEC has supported over the years that we've had the OEC here, and such a strong partner for us. Excited to be here and to think together with you all about this important topic.
Thank you. Last but not least, Ruth.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ruth Chantre. I'm the site director for Team Inc., the Waterbury location. We're an early Head Start and Head Start program. We also receive Early Start Connecticut funding to provide extended full day, full year for children so their parents can work, they can go to school, they can take care of their mental health. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that truly sets Head Start apart is its commitment to the whole child. Head Start doesn't just focus on one piece of development, but rather it recognizes that learning, health, emotional well-being, and family relationships are deeply connected. With that in mind, our next question is, Head Start focuses on well-rounded development in children by providing early education, comprehensive health services, and intensive family engagement. What does well-rounded development in children mean to you? And we'll start with Mallory.
Thank you. Well, for me, I am not only a former Head Start student, but my children all went to Head Start. And what I think when I think of well-rounded, I think of not just addressing the academic part of it, but the family as a whole. It's a connector from family and child to Head Start, which is wonderful because sometimes parents, don't really know where to start. They address not only the academics, but cognitive, physical, emotional, and those are topics that children usually have really no knowledge of, and parents don't know how to address early on. So I think it's having the whole entire family included, which is very important.
Thank you, Mallory. And I'll throw it over to Dr. Yola for the same question.
I so agree with what you're saying, Mallory. We have to really embrace and support the whole family. Like Thea was saying earlier when she was sharing her story with us, right? When the adults are doing well, that's when we know the children are doing well. And so that's what I really value about the Head Start approach, right? To see how we can really wrap around and support the child through supporting their family and by really engaging them in that early care and education experience too, right? So many parents that work in a Head Start program that not only do they learn more about child development and how to support their child, but they really find their passion in their career. When I think about what it means to be well-rounded for child development as a licensed clinical psychologist, I think about regulating your emotions and being able to find your voice, right? Especially now in the times we're living in, we need to be able to help our children be able to have their strong voice to stand up for what they believe in, what their values are, and also where there's something that feels not good, to be able to find a way to work through that too.
Thank you. And now I'll turn it to Ruth with the same question.
Hi, well said, Mallory and Dr. Bonto. To me, it means nurturing and supporting children's development. I was a Head Start parent. I have two sons, and both of them went through Head Start. So I had the first experience of working with family support. And to me, when they first started, what are your goals? What do you want to do with your career? I was like, I didn't even know how to react it, because that is so unique. That's how unique Head Start is, right? You're not just dropping off your child and say, hey, goodbye, I'll see you at the end of the day. But how are we supporting the family? Because if the family does well, we know that the child will have a much better chance to succeed in school and to learn. And it goes beyond just supporting the academics of children. It's also their social and emotional, their language development, cognitive development, and giving them that sense of belonging, but really, really accepting the background and building on that and what they were bringing to the classroom, their strengths, and having parents participate and asking parents, you are your child's first teacher. How can we help your child? What is the best way that we can provide support for you and for your child?
Really appreciate all the panelists in this first question. Really just looking at what Head Start means. When we say whole child, we really mean whole family. So thank you. I appreciate that. Our next question is, as we've been sharing today, Head Start has always been more than an early learning program. It acts as a protective factor, as we know, for children and families, especially during times of stress, transition, and uncertainty. A key part of the protective role is connection. In that spirit, our third question for our panelists includes, we know community partners, like with ECCP, Early Childhood Consultation Partnerships, are essential to the success of Head Start. How does Head Start act as a connector between families and critical community resources? And we'll start with Mallory. Thank you.
So I think that some families, when it comes to partnership and being a community leader, I know that some families won't even know about the programs and services that are offered if it wasn't for Head Start. And I'm so proud to live in Danbury, where our Head Start is on it when it comes to anything, and being able to identify when families and students are maybe lacking in resources, and being able to pick that up and say, hey, we have a food bank over here, a food drive over here, or maybe the dentist is not receptive. Hey, can we reach out to your dentist, or can we suggest another one? So I know that it's a very beneficial thing to have almost like a one-stop shop as a parent. I have 6 daughters. And so being able to come into a facility that's not only going to help give my child quality care, they're also going to say, I see that, maybe you need something. Let me give you a referral. Let me tell you about this program. And I've heard about Birth to 3 through Head Start. I've heard about new things like there's a sparkler thing that it's all over Danbury. Everybody always talks about sparkler, and that's from the OEC. But I think that being able to be a parent with multiple children and walking into where your child is going to be left with its teachers and its second family per se, it's a wonderful thing to have those partnerships and those connections.
Thank you so much. We'll throw it over to you, Dr. Yola, please.
I really just want to echo what you said, Mallory. It's through the relationship, right? So as Head Start professionals are getting to know what's available in their community and building those relationships, and then knowing what the families may need, right? They're having conversations with families, hearing about their families' experiences and saying, I was thinking about what you told me when you told me about your child's having a hard time making friends. Or remember when we were talking about what we noticed in the classroom, and there's this great service that I really want us to try together. What do you think? How can we reach out? I've heard lots of situations where Head Start family support staff would reach out with the family to help make that first call, or to sit with them to kind of guide them to be able to do that. And that's such a strength, because sometimes reaching out to get some support can feel overwhelming, or we might feel unsure of what will happen next. And to let families know that other families have found a benefit from those programs, and they're really there to further expand and deepen, right, the support network, so that way families can be successful and children and families have the support they need and providers have the support they need. You know, some programs like our program, the ECCP program, will come in and work with providers on site to be able to deepen and extend what's working well and maybe bring in some new strategies and ideas that we can put into the practice to continue making sure that everybody has what they need.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Ruth.
Well said. Head Start commitment working with families as partners by meeting the families where they are and not just doing things for them, it's doing things with them. So once they leave us, they have all the tools that they need to succeed and continue that work of being resourceful, where to find resources for themselves and for their family. Head Start doesn't just connect families to services and community partners such as ECCP. It's almost weaving a web together, a network of support for families. It goes beyond of just giving a phone number or here's a referral, go see this community partner. It's making the introduction. It's sitting with a family and say, hey, maybe we need to make this phone call today. Let's do it together. It's helping making that connection because sometimes families, they just don't know what they don't know, right? So giving them a piece of paper with a phone number and a referral, it's okay, someday I will call, but sitting with them and saying, this is what this program is for, this is how it will help you, this is how you can benefit from it, goes a long way. It gives them that sense of empowerment and teaches them advocacy and teaches them the resources and where to go from there.
Thank you so much. What I really heard from these heartwarming stories is the power of connection, building relationships, and not a power over approach, but rather a power with approach with the families. Thank you for that. Our next question is, in early childhood, we often focus on what children need to learn, but just as important is what we observe, what they observe. Children often take in how adults respond to challenge, how emotions are expressed, and how difficult moments are handled. Even when we don't think that they're paying attention, we all know they are. And they are learning from our tone, our reactions, and our present. With that in mind, I'd like to ask our panelists, there's a lot happening in our community right now, at the world at large, where the day-to-day routine can feel rather heavy. Recognizing children are constantly watching and learning from adults around them. How can adults role model for children healthy ways of carrying on and moving forward when faced with stressors in life? And I will put it over to Mallory. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that when a child is paying attention, it's even not. We're always on go. I know for me as a parent, I'm always like sometimes in robot mode is what my daughter likes to call it. But mindfulness, taking the time out for ourselves is very important, and allowing your children to see, you know, if something is intense, you walking away and breathing or taking a step back and readdressing things. And it's also wonderful to see parents have support systems at play when it comes to whether it's family, whether it's, you know, the social workers or the teachers or whomever in the classroom, to see your parent receptive to that help as opposed to stopping it is another thing. And it almost, I know for my children, to see me go out and do this type of work, it's a sense of empowerment for them, that even though there may be some barrier, to be able to address that barrier. And even if it can't be changed at the moment, to know that we tried and maybe next time we'll try harder or try different or a different approach is very important. That just because it's a no right now doesn't mean it's a no forever. So I think that it's very important for our children to not only see us trying, not only see us failing if it's a fail, but knowing that just because it's a no right now, it can potentially be a yes later if the approach is different. And so pouring into oneself is very important to me. Whenever I'm dealing with other parents, I always stress the fact that we should be giving ourselves grace as a parent because it's not easy. This world is changing. Everything is different. And so allowing our children to see us taking care of ourselves and what we may be lacking in is very important.
Thank you so much. Now we'll move it over to Dr. Yola.
Yeah, I agree, right? Modeling for children how we're able to work through heavy emotions. I think sometimes as parents, we feel like we need to flip everything into a positive light for children, and kind of make things better. And sometimes we just have to sit in the situation and show children how we can cope and kind of ride through difficult, uncomfortable emotions. There's a lot of power in the relationship. And so when children can see us as adults being able to sit with hard emotions and to see that we're gonna be there, we're gonna get up, we're gonna try again tomorrow, and we're going to have this predictable, as much as we can, right, safe environment for them, that helps with the resiliency factors. And so it is okay to not be okay in the moment, but to make it in a way that it's not so overwhelming for a young child. Sometimes actually it's helpful to kind of turn off some of the news, turn off some of those like outside um, influences, right? So we can try to create more of a calm space, especially when things are feeling really heavy. And then also having a plan, right? We're not going to explain all of that to a young child in a way that we would with adults. But when children can feel like there's a sense of stability and safety, even if we're unsure of every variable, but we know we're going to figure it out, that can help too.
Thank you so much. And I will turn it over to Ruth.
Children feel what we feel, right? They might not know exactly how we're feeling and what we're feeling, but they feel that something is off and they don't know how to express themselves sometimes. They might have the words, but they just don't know how to say and what to say. It's easily to see how they're feeling, the way they express their emotions, the way those behaviors come through. Every behavior has a meaning, right? And it is allowing the child to feel and providing a space for them where they can have fun, where they can laugh, where they can be themselves. But also role modeling that it's okay to have those big emotions. It's just saying out loud, I am so mad today, I am so sad, or I'm so upset. And with that, adding that modeling piece of appropriate way to let it out some of that tension by saying, I'm so mad today, I'm just going to take a deep breath. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to sit down on the couch and read a book. It's so important to do that in the classrooms when we see that with children coming in and we know there's a lot of stressors going on with the families nowadays. It's allowing that child to have a moment to decompress, get used to the routine of the classroom. Sometimes we have to pay attention. It's not just for the children they're getting dysregulated. It's those children that also all of a sudden they never had a separation anxiety from the parents, but then you see that the child is constantly crying. Now they don't want the parent to leave them. Is those children there, they come in and they doesn't seem to have emotions at all. They're just sitting there, and a lot is going on surrounding them. So it's important to pay attention to that and support that child, again, by modeling, providing opportunities for the children to have a safe space to explore, to get their minds out of it, and checking in with families and see how they're doing, see if they need the support, sharing strategies that's being used in the classroom, and say, this is really works for your child here. Maybe if you try this at home, we both can close the gap between what we're doing in school and what we're doing at home. And this way, I think parents will have a sense of, yes, there's hope out there. Yes, there's people that can support me. My child is safe and I can support my child at home. Because being parent, let's be real, it's not easy. It doesn't come with a manual. And even if it did, it's not the same for every single child. So it is meeting those families where they are and meeting each individual need of the children that comes into the classrooms and everyday households that we see, families in the community. And what we teach the parents here, they might take this to their cousins, to their sisters and brothers that have children. And before we know it, it is a community of support that we're creating.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the panelists really just sharing that, children feel what we feel, and the power of co-regulation, whether it's in the classroom setting or at home sitting for dinner. It's really important. And I appreciated hearing sometimes we have to sit in the emotion and show that child and model to that child how we're able to do that, but we're resilient also. Thank you. So as we begin to bring our conversation towards a close, I want to step back and ask a big picture question. And note that Head Start has been part of lives of millions of children and families, often during some of the most vulnerable moments. So I'm going to ask plainly, when you think about Head Start, does it work? If yes, is it important for children to have an opportunity to move forward in life despite life circumstances beyond their control? And please feel free to share any stories related with your practices over the years. And we'll start with Mallory. Thanks.
So I have to say yes, Head Start definitely works. And I want to say it's a wonderful program. It's a wonderful, and I don't like to use the word program. I like to use the word system because it's a wonderful system that allows children and families to realize that they are not their circumstance and that they can move forward past whatever barriers there are in life. I've been at several different stages of my life as a parent and as a child. And I will say that being encouraged and empowered to know that you have qualities that are embraced and nurtured in a setting, and then teaching, your parents that they can also embrace those qualities, but not only the qualities in the child, but the qualities in the parent is a wonderful thing. And I think that having that for young children is very imperative the way the world is now, because there may be someone at home that doesn't have, as much as the next person, that doesn't have basic necessities, that doesn't, know English, and all types of things that's going on. It's important for them to know that that doesn't have to stop them from elevating and growing. So to answer you, yes, I believe that this is a beautiful program. It's a beautiful structure that's created for families and communities. It's very beneficial for the longevity of a community. We're building our future. And so it's wonderful.
Thank you so much. Dr. Yola?
I agree. I mean, we have so much evidence that Head Start works, right? We heard some stories today that shows us that Head Start works. We know that our system is created where there are inequities for families, and Head Start is really working towards changing that so that every child and every family has all of those possibilities that they can. A lot of families, through my experience when I've supported families, either they don't know of services that are available or systems work in a way that make them feel shameful towards reaching out to get support. And so Head Start really works to break that down and to connect families to services that are there to really help them to be able to allow them to actualize their full potential and to bring all those pieces together. And every family deserves that.
Thank you so much. Ruth?
To answer the question, yes, Head Start definitely works. It's the wisdom that was put into creating Head Start, right? And all the little pieces from the performance standards and how it created so many opportunities and created careers for early education and even toys and things like that, we started paying more attention to the child and families. And I'll answer this question better with my own personal story. I am proof that Head Start works. Me and my family, I should say, are proof that Head Start works. Head Start gave me a sense of direction and purpose in a time of my life that I had no idea what the future was going to hold for me and my boys. I immigrated from Brazil about 30 years ago. I didn't speak any English. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I became pregnant. I had my son. He was born premature and received birth to 3 services. So when he turned 3, the virtual 3 worker said, hey, you know what would be great for him? To go to Head Start. And I'm like, Head Start. Immediately I said, I don't think so. I don't want it. Because of my immigration status, I was terrified. And this was 30 years ago. But she insisted, and she said, try, just go, here's the number. Again, connections, right? Even though it was from a virtual 3 worker. And I did. I felt welcomed. I was expecting somebody to be judging me for my broken English and not knowing what to expect. I was surprised that he was very smooth, very respectful. So my son started at school, and it was the best thing ever. I like to share this little piece that I always say that I didn't choose to work for Head Start. Head Start chose me. Growing up, people will ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I don't know, but for sure I do not want to be a teacher. Until one day, my son's teacher invited me to volunteer in the classroom. And I was super nervous. I said, I don't know if I can do this. So what can an immigrant with the broken English, what I'm going to do in the classroom? What do I have to offer? And she insisted, and I did. I went to help doing some cutting papers, whatever, and I fell in love with it. And working with Head Start and the family support, I was made aware of CDA that I could get it, and I could work in the field. And going from a parent volunteer in a classroom, from an aide, and all the steps of my teaching career, it was just amazing. I never thought I could do that. I worked in a classroom for 15 years. And after I decided to do more, I want to do more with families. So I became a home visitor for team. And it was the best experience. All the families that I met, what I could for the fact that they accepted me into their household and allowed me to work with them, it really humbled me. It was an amazing experience. After that, I was an education coordinator, and now I'm the site director for this wonderful program here. But for all the children that I was fortunate enough to teach, the families that I was fortunate enough to meet, taught me so many valuable lessons. Head Start gave me, my children, experience that alone I could never provide to them. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the experience as a volunteer, as a teacher, as a home visitor, as an education coordinator, and definitely Head Start made me a better parent, a better friend, a better community member. It gave me a voice when I thought I could never have a voice. So I am grateful for Head Start. My 2 boys are 25 and 28. They both went to college. They graduated. They, have their career now, and they're doing well. So Head Start, yes, it does work.
Thank you so much. As we close this panel, I'm struck by something. Not one story was about a single program, a single strategy, or a single intervention. Rather, every story here today was about people, about relationships that made stress tolerable, about systems that chose compassion over convenience, and about children's lives who were changed because of an adult that believed. This is not an end to their story. The discussions and panelists echoed how Head Start has always been a place where impossible is challenged, where we see not just who children are today, but who they are becoming. So thank you so much to our panelists today, and I will send it over to Lorna.
Hi, everyone. Unfortunately, Lorna, our fearless leader, is having some technical issues, but we do want to make sure that we thank everyone for your participation today. To Commissioner Trueworthy, to Deputy Commissioner Morgan, to Thea Montanez, to Eloisa for sharing her story, to Juan for introducing her. We're so happy to have all of you join us today. Please be sure to fill out the survey. The links are in the chat. Jen will share the QR codes here. And we also want to say a huge thank you to our facilitator, Haley, and our panelists. Thank you to Mallory, thank you to Yola, and thank you to Ruth. We really appreciate you sharing your stories today. Please complete the survey. It does help us as we plan future behavioral health webinars.
One last time. Can you hear me
Got it.
now? Okay, all right. Well, you know what? Thank you, Karen, for picking up the baton and carrying it forward. And you know what, teammates? I'm going to work this into our webinar today because in life we know things happen. That was not a part of the plan for you all not to be able to hear me. But what a reminder of even in those moments, as Haley shared with us, impossible is not a label, it is just a starting point. And so therefore I logged out and logged back in, and here we are. So just want to thank you all so much once again for everyone that played a role in today's webinar. If I may just go through the list as well. Thank you so much, Karen, for already sharing. Want to thank Diana Reyes for giving us instructions on how to access interpretation. Rhonda and Norma, thank you so much for providing interpretation, and they are from NWI. Of course, many thanks to our wonderful Commissioner, Elena Trueworthy, for giving welcoming remarks, as well as Deputy Commissioner David Morgan. Thank you so much for giving welcoming remarks as well. And of course, we cannot proceed without thanking Thea Montañez for giving our keynote message. How inspiring is she? How inspiring is she reminding us of the importance of not giving up and continuing to move forward? Thank you so, so very much. Karen, you know I'm giving you a big thank you so much, not only for your wonderful teamwork, for leading Head Start within the state of Connecticut, and for being a wonderful teammate with our webinar and OEC efforts with behavioral health. Thank you, Karen. Juan Lopez, thank you so much for introducing the wonderful video vignette, which certainly means we must thank Eloisa. Eloisa, thank you for sharing your story with us. How powerful and meaningful. Dr. Haley Scott DeClerc, thank you for facilitating a wonderful panel discussion that was made up with superb panelists, including Mallory Page, Dr. Yola Borto, and Ruth Chantra. Thank you all so, so, so very much. Now, I want to also, of course, thank all of those persons behind the scenes that helped make today possible. Jenide, thank you, thank you, thank you for managing all Zoom pieces and helping us to have this production of life here, because we had some life that was lifing happening right now. Thank you so much, Jen. And Michelle Cook and Eloisa, thank you for helping to record this as well. Team O'Donnell, Graphics by Jules, and UConn School of Social Work Innovations Institute, thank you collectively for the webinar support, video vignette editing, webinar editing, and webinar surveys. And with the surveys, you will have the QR codes there. It was shared in the Zoom chat. Thank you so much, because most importantly, we thank all of you for being here with us, for taking the time out of your day to remind us of what's important and remembering things are not impossible. It is possible. And it's because of you that that happens. So we want to certainly hear from you and sharing your thoughts with the survey. Above all else, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your support, for loving our children, for loving our future leaders. We will pause for now, but look forward to seeing you once again. Thank you all so much. Take care. Be well.